out of the Police's set, and I could sort of sense people around me going, like looking around during a song, and it's not like, oh, you don't love the song, but it's not encouraging sing-alongs, because, like I said, Sting's lyrics can be, well, Sting-ish, and so it's it was just one of those. I wouldn't call it a disappointment. It was just like a reality check. Like,
right.
There are songs and bands that are built for arenas and stadiums. I'm not sure this band is, but
right.
I love their catalog. But that was just sort of okay. I noted it and said, like, if they came out around again, would I see them? Probably, but I would think about it.
Yes. Well, there's another new documentary out, and this one's different, to say the least, and it fits because it's Brian Eno. Of course, one of the original members of Roxy Music, wasn't in it very long. Not surprising that, Brian Eno has sort of gone his own way in many ways. He's always been experimental, and this documentary is experimental as well. It's called a generative documentary. The film promises to be different every time it's shown, thanks to software that randomly selects different scenes with bleepy, glitchy little interludes to remind us what it's doing. And it went to the Sundance Film Festival. It's highly acclaimed. Most of the people who have reviewed it have talked, and I haven't seen it, have talked about how interesting it is in the archival material that's there, with him producing for U2 and early Roxy Music videos and things that he's collected, and it's put into this new technology. Brian Eno has always gone to his own beat. He doesn't even really describe himself almost as a musician. He's just more of a technician, at least in his own mind. He's an interesting storyteller. I've certainly seen that. And this sounds like it'd be pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, I ashamedly don't know nearly enough about him.
I'll give you a heads up, Tim. I was just doing research before this, and his Wikipedia page might be the longest one I've ever seen in my life. It makes it's like the Russian Revolution of Brian Eno.
Well, I mean, it probably deserves to be. I mean, his influence is vast. He's just someone who's always been in the back, in the shadows, kind of. It's just a real mastermind and kind of mad music scientist who was ahead of the whole technology thing, like most geniuses are, and was just changed, even if it was just subtle, the course of music. The bands wanted to go to him. He inspired them. So he's someone who deserves further study, and I'm someone who needs to do that, because I know the basic points, of his life and who he was and who he worked with and who he influenced. But he's a real, like a founder of sorts.
He certainly is. I mean, he's obviously been a part of, and a lot of times he's just a part of. He just is. But John Cale, David Bowie, David Byrne, Robert Fripp, all kinds of different people like that, and certainly a trendsetter. I'm fascinated to watch, because I don't know that much about Brian Eno either. I'm a big Roxy Music fan, and I like their music, although they could, expand out into areas that I'm like, huh? What's that? And that's why, obviously, he's separated out of there. But that should be very, very interesting as well. Sort of an under-the-radar note on somebody who passed. Dave Loggins died last week at 76, best known for the song Please Come to Boston, but also for sports fans, known as the man who wrote the Masters theme. And I'm sure that kept Dave Loggins in pretty good stead over the years, the royalties from that. But that's sort of a side note, but nobody's ever going to forget the Masters theme when they watch it. And Please Come to Boston was a neat little song.
It was everywhere for a while, for sure. I mean, you just knew it because there was a time you couldn't really escape it. It's a
right.
It's a nice ballad. Yeah. Good voice. Yeah. So, kind of a perfect song.
Yeah, and I think the Master song actually does have lyrics, but I probably don't want to explore that. And in keeping with that, Mark Knopfler is alive, by the way, and I gave my wife a jolt the other day, and just a warning sign for all of us, especially me. I figured I'd be a little more savvy than this. There was a notification on my phone when I woke up for a Facebook notification, and, I get Facebook, birthday notifications and the like. And so it popped up and it said Mark Knopfler dies at 74. Now, unfortunately, there's been all kinds of speculation because he's not touring that he might be in ill health. And so I literally went downstairs and told my wife. And she's like, I'm 5 minutes away from a meeting. You can't tell me that. And then I went back upstairs and tried to explore it further. And it turns out it was a complete hoax. And it was an advertisement trying to get me hooked in. But dumb me, for a few moments, I was very melancholy and sad. And this particular podcast would be totally different if it was true, but I get to find out it was false.
Yeah, I've made that mistake. So my rule is measure twice, cut once. So like check with at least 2 other sources. If there's nothing out there, then it's made up. But it's easy to get to. It's happened.
It's like on Twitter when somebody's trending, and you're like, oh no. And then you check on Twitter or X, and they are well alive. Well, I always feel alive when I do this, Tim. Always appreciate the time and look forward to checking out more music in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Thanks, Danny.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. Great food, finely crafted beers, cocktails, and great sports viewing in a friendly and comfortable atmosphere. Join Matt Llewellyn and his great staff at 23rd and Castle in Lawrence.